Welcome to InvoTalks, a podcast powered by InvoZone, a leading software and web app development company with offices in US, Canada, Malaysia. Today we have amazing Dr. Colleen with us. She is the CEO and co-founder of PhenomX Health. Which she has 27 years of experience in personalization, clinical research, and product development. And we are excited to meet Dr. Colleen in Leap. And I will hand over to Dr. Colleen with first question. And Dr. Colleen, I must say I'm so excited to have you. And my first question to you is, how is PhenomX Health empowering women in taking care of their health?
Yeah, so thank you so much for having me. And so PhenomX Health is empowering women to take care of their health through teaching women how to personalize their nutrition and their holistic wellness throughout their menopause, midlife journey, and beyond. And the idea is that women, 50% of women don't know that they're in menopause. And they will go to their medical doctor, and unfortunately, 75% come home without answers um, because they've just learned they're in menopause. And the doctors have very few options for women that are going through this process. And so ideally, what we envision is that they go to their doctor, they go to their pharmacist, their clinician, and they tell them about the PhenomX Health platform. And so they can actually go home and download the app. They can order the nutrition tests that they do at home. They can track their symptoms and their diet that they think impacts their symptoms. Really easy. We've got some very novel technology that we're using for that. And then she gets recommendations. She can learn what are the best products to use, as well as the best approach to diet, best approach to holistic and lifestyle health choices. And then she could even purchase the best products from our e-commerce platform, because not only are we empowering women to personalize their nutrition and learn about themselves and help themselves, but we also are a trusted source in providing these recommendations. So that means that we have key criteria that we use to select the highest quality nutrition products that we recommend. So we hope that really makes it very easy for women to go through this process and make some changes and do some things for themselves. For example, if you have a woman that goes to like a Whole Foods or a pharmacy and they're looking at all the women's health supplements on the shelves, they have no idea which one to choose. And even if they choose one that says, oh, this is for menopause, the best product out there treats 13 of the 34 symptoms. And it's a highly personalized experience of how does she know that's for her? And probably there are some other great supplement options for her that are not even called women's health, some evening primrose oil, some omega-3s, for example. So we're trying to make it very easy for women to figure out what's going on, what really matters, and then get the products that really, really matter and go on with their busy lives, really.
Yeah. That's phenomenal, I must say, Dr. Colleen, because most of the women, being a woman myself, most of the women don't know what they should do in different life stages, because for a woman, there are different life stages and there are different certain hormonal balance required. And with the changing world and everything, the inclusion of women, we do have to take care of our health and we want it. And most of the time, we ignore it.
Yeah, it's such a good point. And I think, society has kind of told us we should, and I think in research, we've ignored it. We've avoided studying women because they're too complicated. The hormones cause a lot of variability in the data. So historically, when we wanted to do the large, statistically sound studies, we actually either combined men and women together and controlled for the variability so that we would have higher statistical numbers in our outcomes, or we chose to study only men because they had less variability in their statistical outcomes. Ultimately, we avoided this whole area of hormonal health, and particularly hormonal health and nutrition and wellness, because it didn't fit the way we used to do science. But we don't have to do that anymore. We've got fantastic methodology for studying subgroups and for studying men and women separately, and for specifically honing on women on different times in their menstrual cycle, different times in their windows of hormonal vulnerability in their life cycle.
I completely agree with you. I think, yeah, we are told to ignore, or we are just tuned in to ignore ourselves. And also, we are ignored by the society and the research, I would say, for a long time. But do you think that technology has changed it somehow? The health techs like yours have increased the accessibility of women towards health uh, solutions, I must say.
Yeah, so good question. So there's this uh, uh, well, there's a field that has emerged over the last couple of years called FemTech, which stands for female technology. And I think that what FemTech, categorizing this these tech companies into this area, has really helped elevate what is going on in the community, because there are more and more startup companies solving the problems that we have in this space. And the way that society has been able to support these startups, and this, I'm saying society from my perspective of Europe and US, because that's the perspective that I have, is by developing FemTech accelerators. For example, PhenomX Health was included in a FemTech accelerator called Tech Forever. It's the first FemTech accelerator in Switzerland, and I believe there's only a couple of FemTech accelerators, at least that I know of, in Europe, the other one being in Paris. And so their first year actually was the first year of Phenomics. And someone knew what I was doing and said, by the way, have you heard about this? It's on the EPFL campus. Maybe you want to apply. And Phenomics was 1 month old. And it was really born out of my experience with actually trying to build some independent collaborations where we had a focus in women's health and not having success in really holding on to that passion for purpose that I had, and my realization that the aha moment, which like probably everybody else could see better than me, right? Because it's always like that, was that I was meant to actually lead this. And that's why I wasn't able to convince others to collaborate and co-lead, which is what I was trying to do. And so it was within a month of putting Phenomics together, of birthing Phenomics, that Phenomics was accepted into the first FemTech accelerator in Switzerland. So I know that I sound like I'm bragging, and I apologize for that, really. But this is exactly how it happens. Phenomics Health would not be represented by me today without that accelerator, because it was in that accelerator that I learned that my ideas were good and that there was a problem, that women were being neglected. And this accelerator empowered me with some of the numbers, the statistics, and gave me a voice that I needed to further develop this company. So I think one of the ways we make this better, and we are making this better, is creating these kinds of programs. There's also FemTech Lab, by the way, in UK. So we're starting to birth more and more of these programs that really elevate women's health and really bring the great potential for us to make a difference in society. So I think that's where we can bring a lot of these companies together is important to empower the companies to build themselves. Because, as you have mentioned to me already, such a small percent of funding has gone into startup companies, right? You said 3% of funding has gone into these companies. And I think the only way to increase that is increasing this awareness, educating the investors about this space, about the opportunity in this space, and bringing people together around that so that we can have these creative realizations together on how we can achieve this.
Amazing, amazing. It's really phenomenal to see Phenomics Health covering all this journey and reaching towards success. But I really want to know, Dr. Colleen, from you to inspire our young women who are planning to enter the tech landscape, that what were the struggles you faced while entering this world? This must be an uncharted territory for you, if I'm not wrong. Because
Yeah, go ahead.
no, no, please.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, such a good question, because of course, every struggle we face, there's something that we learn from it, right? For example, I had this story when I was younger. I was a program director for a nutritional genomics company, and I was so excited to be, really kickstarting my career in this space that made so much sense to me. And when I wanted to reduce my days from 5 to 4, because back then we always had to be in the office, and I had 3 very young children at home, 2 in diapers. I wanted an extra day with them because I missed them so much. And so I said, I'm directing this weight management program. I can do this in 4 days. And if, there's additional needs, I could fulfill them from home on Fridays, but at least I'm with my family. And they said, well, you can do that, but you can't direct the program anymore. And then they hired a man who was a medical doctor to direct the program. He was also 4 days a week, but it was okay because his 5th day was spent in his clinical practice. And so within 6 to 9 months, he was no longer in that position. I got my program direction back, and I was still 4 days a week. So what I learned from that was actually patience, that we see these things happening, and we have to really, we understand that there's a mistake has been made. We do our best, and we stay strong and do what we believe in and do a good job. And it can matter in the long run. But I've also seen where women make decisions that negatively affect other women as well. Using that case example, it was an HR director, female, that made that decision. So in fact, she was highly influential in her role. So in fact, she played a huge part of that. So I use that as an illustration that what I've learned is to be really responsible for the decisions I'm making, be really aware of how they affect other women in their roles, so that I can actually make sure that I'm promoting and I'm leaving behind a legacy. I have 3 daughters. So this is really important to keep in mind, how we as women are paving the way for other women.
Interesting. Yeah, it's important for a woman to support a woman. I completely agree with you. I want to know what was the first step you took in building Phenomics Health? You must have been facing difficulties in terms of hiring people to build your technology, what you dreamed of perfectly. What were the difficulties? Do you still have them, and how are you overcoming them?
Of course, when we look in the tech field and we look even locally here in Switzerland, it's definitely harder to find women, still in the engineering fields. Proud to say that I have a daughter that's studying engineering here. But in fact, so I just want to highlight that. I also want to highlight, in terms of challenges with building our company, that we are currently raising money to actually be able to pay our staff. So we actually have an amazing force of people that are working for us and with us. And we actually need funding in order to pay them. And it's a key moment for Phenomics. And at the time is now for this focus that we're building in midlife, with all of the great projections that we have around over 1 billion women in 2030 that will be in perimenopause, and great projections around the value of the marketplace right now. So it's a challenge for us because we are recruiting people that are essentially volunteers for us right now while we're building. That's really the challenge.
Yeah.
But I think the biggest part was starting Phenomics. It was very hard because I didn't know if my ideas were completely crazy or if they were really something interesting. I had no idea. And some people, they feel a lot of the fear and stress once they've started their company around what they're doing. Is it the right thing? To keep going, making hard business decisions. But for me, I got to tell you that once I got going, it became very clear that this was the most important thing for me to be doing. So I don't have a hard time bringing people onto the team. The vision is clear, the excitement is palpable in the team we already have. It's actually a matter of money now. It's a matter of fulfilling our needs to fund the company so we can really propel things forward quickly.
I hope, Dr. Colleen, that things turn well out for you. And at Leap InvoZone team would love to meet you. We will be at Hall 5, Pakistan Pavilion, and F30 will be our stand number. And we would love to meet you. You are such an inspirational personality. I love talking to you. And from Leap, I really want to know what you guys are participating in. And what I was actually excited about, you are also invited there as a speaker.
Yeah, thank you for asking that question because I am thrilled to be able to represent PhenomX Health in three different occasions during the LEAP conference. The first is that I will actually be in the pitch event. So we're semifinalists for the pitch competition. I specifically put in the Aviatrix Award since that's for female founders, but there's also an early startup award. I think we've fit into both categories, and there is a financial prize associated with that. So, to be honest with you, I'm really hoping that we could win that first prize because that would help us an awful lot right here and now. So that's the first thing that I get to do. So absolutely thrilled to actually present to people and meet them and talk with them. Actually, it's always the best part of those kinds of things. And then the second is I get to present about women's health, scientific wellness and longevity, and how we're integrating that into our tech to provide that to so many women around the world. But I get to really talk about some of the content, what I like, the science, the nutrition, what we can do now. And then finally, I get to be on a women's forum with two medical doctors and a pharmacist, and my esteemed colleague, Senu Tugaims, also a scientist, will be leading the forum to talk about our experiences in healthcare. And we'll talk a little bit about FemTech as well, which, by the way, I always say FemTech is really men and women supporting women. So I don't mean to make this women only in terms of the work we're doing. It's really about both genders supporting us. So yes, I'm very lucky I get to represent PhenomX Health in 3 occasions during the conference.
Amazing, amazing. Best of luck, Dr. Colleen. I really hope that you get the funding. Also, what as a woman who is such a strong person, I want to know that how Arab landscape is unfolding for women in terms of technology. I have seen that recently many startups are popping up on the land, but where do you see the femtech in Arab land progressing, or the future of femtech, I must say, in the Arab land? Because leap is happening, different events are taking place. We are seeing that things are changing for women over there. But where do you see femtech?
Yeah, it's a good question. And actually, this is something that I hope to learn while I'm there, because I know there's this 2030 vision for Saudi Arabia that has really impacted a lot of the laws and the regulations around women in society there. It has really changed, the percentage of women that are able to be employed in Saudi Arabia, which is really exciting. And so based on that, based on this increased focus on women in this LEAP conference, and based on what is going on with femtech around the world, I really think the future is bright to get more Arab women involved with tech and really position them to be leaders, to make sure that their voice is heard. So I honestly, I can't wait to learn more while I'm there about this potential that you asked me about, because I think that it seems women are well positioned to do this, and it's a very exciting time.
Exactly. It is a very exciting time. And I think I call it a revolution time for women. because because things are changing fast and you have to move with the pace. But at the same time, it is so exciting.
It's so freaking exciting, isn't it? I mean, I think that for me, it's really nice to just like pull on all my experiences and say, okay, all these experiences happened for this reason. For me to be a representative, to be able to be heard. Actually, it feels really good to be heard, and I hope that all the women that get to speak at the LEAP conference and the women that are in tech now have that opportunity to inspire the other women coming up, to really put themselves out there and be heard, because we build a better society this way. For sure. There's no question.
I completely agree with you. I am really honored to meet you, Dr. Colleen. It was such a pleasure and honor at the same time having you in our podcast, because I have learned a lot. And I wish you success in leaps and bounds, because what you are doing is such a noble thing for women all around the globe.
Well, thank you again for inviting me to join you on this podcast so that my voice could be heard. And I've really enjoyed meeting you as well. Thank you for your enthusiasm. And I'll enjoy meeting you in person at the LEAP conference. I think you said booth F30. Is that
Yes,
right?
F30. My team is going to be there.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll look forward to meeting your team then. So thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you so much, Dr. Colleen. Thank you so much.